welcome to a special pumpkin beer episode of Brutal Battle. So, I always am on the hunt for the perfect pumpkin beer, and Carlin is reluctantly going along with me. We just have two to try. One is pretty traditional, and then one is a little more interesting. How are you?
It's weird.
It's weird. Yeah, it's a little weird.
It's definitely weird. Did we trick people? Did people think that this was going to be a Rebecca-only episode?
No.
Because if people want that, you can let us know.
No.
Rebecca doesn't want that.
I can't just talk by myself.
I was talking to her about it before we started recording, and I was like, I want you to lead this one and, like, be the person who's kind of leading everything, just because, like, this is your thing. Like, I am not into pumpkin beers anymore. Haven't been for a long time. Even when I was kind of into them, I wasn't really that into them.
Yeah, I always like the idea of them, and I really want to like them, but I kind of don't.
You like the idea of them,
do.
but the execution on. But there have been some really good ones over time.
It's always like, and I still like a good pumpkin here and there once in a while, because that's like a classic.
Mm-hmm. I do have, let's do our first beer, and then I want to go over, I looked up on Untapped how many pumpkin beers I've checked into in Untapped. So I want to go over that, but then also say, like, what are the top rated ones that I put in there?
Okay.
It's just like it's kind of interesting to look back on that, especially since, I was saying not really liking pumpkin beers, but there are obviously some pumpkin beers on Untapped that I gave pretty good ratings to, honestly. So
yeah, there have been a couple good ones along the way, and we don't have this one for the podcast, but I do remember enjoying Master of Pumpkins by Trogs.
Yeah, true.
I thought that was a good one,
and I believe that's barrel aged, right?
I don't think so.
It isn't.
I don't think so.
Well, here, do you want to introduce the first beer?
One is a local one. It's by Crooked Crab Brewing, and they are out of
Odenton.
Yeah, Odenton, Maryland.
Yes.
It is 6%. Do you want me to read the text on the back?
Let's do it after we try.
Okay. So it's just described as a harvest ale.
Okay. And what's it called? Straight out of Odenton?
Straight out of Odenton.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is, basically.
Yeah.
All right. 16-ounce can. Let's go. Oh, that was a good crack.
That was a good crack.
That was a satisfying crack. I don't know if there's anyone else out there like me, but, like, one of the most satisfying sounds in my life is, like, the cracking of a can like that. Whether it's beer or it's, a seltzer or it's, a hoplark or whatever.
Yeah.
Just that sound is so awesome.
Well, they did, remember on Good Mythical Morning.
Yeah.
The YouTube show, the YouTube channel, they had a poll on what the most satisfying sounds were. And I think that was number one.
Yeah, but they also did their own tournament where they went through and listened to all the satisfying sounds, like the top ones. And I think the cracking of a can was like number one or number two.
Yeah. They had some good ones, like crackling of a fire, crunching through snow.
Carlin and Rebecca's voices.
Yeah.
That was on there, obviously.
Okay, so let's get into this. So this is like amber.
Yeah, like amber brown. I mean, it's like reddish brown. Well, it's more brown, but I mean, you can see a little through it. Like, it's not a hazy beer. It's a clear beer, but it's dark in color, so.
I am getting, like, the flesh of the pumpkin. I think this might be actually made with yams.
There's a real meatiness in the nose. So I see what you're saying about, like, that kind of pumpkin. Is there any actual pumpkin? It has pumpkin and squash.
Okay.
Pumpkin and squash.
I remember it wasn't just straight up pumpkin when I didn't read all the text on the back, but I remember seeing that.
Yeah, it's definitely got that
malty.
Meaty. Yeah.
Very malty.
Yeah, I like how that, like, fleshy pumpkin / squash note is mixing together with the maltiness. And it's adding, like, this kind of sweetness to it that's giving you the idea of, like, a little bit of, like, brown sugar on top of a roasted pumpkin.
Yeah.
Smells good.
The spice level is pretty low.
Yeah, which is good for me.
I mean, I'm getting the spices. Like, I'm getting a little cinnamon.
It's very low. Yeah, I get a little cinnamon.
Not a lot. Maybe a little nutmeg.
Yeah, nutmegish. It smells really crisp.
Yeah, it does smell like
it's going to have a nice clean finish. All right, going in.
It's got a little sweetness.
It's got that Cheerio flavor.
It does have the Cheerio
on the
flavor.
end, which is odd to me.
It's pretty mild. It's very sessionable.
Mm-hmm. It's real grain driven. Well, I mean, like, you know, it's a malty ale, so it's obviously very grain driven. But like, it's kind of like that spent malt grain type flavor coming up in it. Which, depending on my mood, like, I like it sometimes, I don't like it other times. I'm not huge on this beer, to be honest.
It's okay.
I mean...
I don't hate it. I don't dislike it. I don't know if I need to drink it again.
Yeah. I get some of that sweetness from the pumpkin. I definitely get a little bit of that kind of, like...
And you get the spice.
The meatiness from the pumpkin that I said I was kind of smelling. But yeah, there is the low-level cinnamon. Which
I like because it's... You can actually get the pumpkin, and it's not just totally spice.
And it's not hard to drink, though.
No, it's like, very easy to drink.
If I was...
So I said it's very sessionable.
Say I'm at a party, and it's like all pumpkin beers. Like, this would be a pretty, like, unoffensive option for someone like me who's not big into pumpkin beers. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm not big on this, but at the same time, in that situation, if I'm reaching for a pumpkin beer, sure. So I guess that's kind of an endorsement because
I think that's a very good... I feel like that's a really good endorsement coming from you.
Yeah, because I just don't like pumpkin beers really. Yeah. So. Okay, well let me talk about. First of all, I have checked into on Untappd 62 different pumpkin beers.
That's crazy.
Although some of those are repeats based off vintage.
Okay.
So like one of them that is highly rated shows up twice for like a 2015 and a 2016 vintage. So 62-ish, you know, probably subtract a few here or there. But
Good Gourd's got to be up there.
We'll find out. I'm just going to read like the top ones that are above 3. So like my ratings go from like a good beer on Untappd for me, like it's a good beer is a 3. And then I don't really take, but it's hard to see me going to 4. I don't go to 4 very often, but when I was newer to Untappd, I was rating a lot more liberally, so there is a little bit of that at play here.
Sure.
So the higher ones that are showing up above 3. Pumpkin, spelled Pumpkyn, the 2016 vintage from Avery Brewing Company.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, so that one is I think that was a barrel-aged, it was like a Kentucky bourbon barrel-aged imperial stout with pumpkin.
Okay.
So there's that one. Yeah, it says bourbon barrel-aged in it. I remember that one being really good. Then Rumpkin.
Oh, I do remember that.
Which is also by Avery Brewing, and it is also the same. Oh, this one's done in rum barrels, which makes sense.
Obviously, Rumpkin.
Yeah, it's a pumpkin stout, imperial stout done in rum barrels. Do remember liking that. Pumpkin Meadow, which is the pumpkin coffee fest beer that we had at that Braglio Farms Oktoberfest that Sapwood Cellars put on. Pumpkin Pie de Bretteville by Almanac Beer Company. That was a farmhouse ale aged in oak barrels with roasted heirloom pumpkins and spices. It was sour. And I remember thinking, this is interesting.
Something different.
Yeah, I like that. You probably have forgotten altogether about the brewery for the next beer. It's a beer called Boo.
What?
It is a cream ale brewed with pumpkin spices, and lactose.
Who did that?
Miscreation Brewing out of Hanover, Pennsylvania.
I remember when we went there. That's a long time ago.
And they had good beers.
Yeah, I wonder if they're still open.
I don't know. We should go back out if they are. Then I had the Rumpkin 2015 vintage, which was rated a little bit higher than the 2016. Good Gourd, which is just like a straight up pumpkin ale by Cigar City Brewing. Pumpkin is on there because it's Southern Tier. Which is there even pumpkin in it? I'm not sure there's pumpkin. No, there is pumpkin puree, but it's very like spice driven. And then the last one.
That's beer I like, but I can't drink a lot of.
The last one is one that I wish I could retry it now to see how I would actually rate it, because this was early on. And this was Blight by Elysian Brewing Company. And this was back when they were they had like a whole like doomsday line of beers. And they were all like real interesting and crazy. And this was back in like 2013, 2012. This was 2012.
Jeez, 10 years ago.
Right. Back when, like, you didn't have a ton of, like, crazy, interesting beers, and they were not owned by AB InBev at that point either. We don't drink Elysian anymore because of that. But it was basically a English brown ale with pumpkin and brown sugar. So it sounds like it was good. Obviously, I really enjoyed it at the time, but those are like the more known. And one of the other ones I saw on there that you're going to be like, oh yeah, when I say it, The Fear by Flying Dog.
Yeah, that's good. And that one came out this year.
Which was that a coffee? I think that was a coffee one.
I don't
like
remember.
A coffee pumpkin imperial stout. Pretty sure. But yeah, I mean, you know, there's some interesting stuff out there. All right, so this second beer is, I don't know about this. We'll see. But it's a good, very good, reputable brewery.
So the first one was like pretty hyper local to us. This one is not. So this one is Pumpkin Spice Shake IPA by Westbrook Brewing Company. It is 7%.
Are they out of Pleasantville, South Carolina?
They are out of Mount Pleasant.
Mount Pleasant. All right, it's close.
It is an IPA brewed with pumpkin, spice, lactose, and Madagascar vanilla.
I don't know, dude.
It's unpasteurized.
The lactose, the hoppage of being an IPA base, and the vanilla has me interested. I just don't know what the pumpkin's going to do.
We saw this and we were like, I wanted some pumpkin beers to drink at Halloween. There's still one I saved to drink on Halloween. And we saw this one. I'm like, I got to try it. I mean, it's so interesting. And it's Westbrook. We typically like Westbrook stuff.
Well, this was one that, you know, I was just along for the ride. I was like, I'm not interested in these pumpkin beers. But when I saw it, I was like, yeah, we have to get this because it's so weird. Like, I've never seen a pumpkin beer like this before. It has to be experienced.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe we're just experiencing it for the listeners because I don't know if everyone can get a hold of this or not. Also, sorry, this episode's coming out, like, after prime pumpkin beer time, basically. Like, this will come out in November at some point, so... Sorry, but, you know, it's still fall.
Yeah.
You know, all good.
I think it's still pumpkin beer season.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like an IPA of sorts. It's very orange. It's hazy. You know, you can't see through it or anything.
Very orange.
It's got a decent head hanging out on top.
Oh, it smells really good.
Oh, it smells really hoppy.
It smells very hoppy and very creamy.
It smells orange. Like the hops are so like vibrant orange. It's like creamy. I get the vanilla. I get like an orange hoppiness. I get no pumpkin.
I get no pumpkin either.
So I'm excited because I get no pumpkin.
It smells like a creamsicle. Are you getting any of the spices? I'm not getting any spices either. This just smells like a straight up creamy, like milkshake IPA.
Yeah, it smells like a vanilla milkshake IPA straight up, which if that's how it tastes, I'm happy. I'm very happy.
Well, I want some of the pumpkin because that's what it's supposed to be.
For you, I hope there's some in the flavor. For me, I don't.
Yeah.
So let's see who's happy.
It smells
and who's
good
not.
though.
No, it does. It really does have a good creaminess on it. I am so stunned by like how prevalent that hop character is and how vibrant that like orange note is. It smells really good.
I really like this beer. You get a little pumpkin and a little spice, but it's very hoppy, very creamy, very vanilla-y.
Yeah, I actually like it.
You like it.
I actually like it.
Yeah.
Mm.
The pumpkin and spice is low.
Yeah. And you get it first. Like and I'm going to be honest, like it has that kind of like milkshake, like actual
it tastes
milkshake
like
pumpkin.
The pumpkin milkshake I get from a Snowball stand.
Yeah. So for people who don't live in Maryland, there's a thing called Snowballs. It's literally like shaved ice.
But they call it snowballs. It's weird. When I moved here, I was like, what the hell is a snowball?
Right. I don't know if
it's like a...
It's a Maryland thing.
Icy? Is that what they're called in the rest of the world? Only it's thinner shaved ice. It's like fluffy.
The more like...
Oh, not an icy. A snow cone.
Right. Okay. The more known ones are like snow cones, but they're snowballs in Maryland, and they're not served in like an actual cone in Maryland. They're served in like a styrofoam cup. And
they're served, you can get it with marshmallow.
Yes, with liquid
like
marshmallow
fluff.
Marshmallow fluff is amazing. It's like the best way to get it. And they have an insane amount of flavors. Like snowballs are my childhood. I got snowballs all the time when I was a kid. Like it was a big treat. Like I said, it's a hyper local thing. It's super good though. But the snowball stand we go to, and which is the one that's been there ever since I was a kid. So I love to still go back. They have these pumpkin milkshakes that Rebecca loves.
So good because they're made with real pumpkin.
Yeah. And honestly, like,
Yeah,
they are good. I won't get them. If I'm getting a milkshake, I'll just get, some people are going to think I'm a psycho for this, mint chocolate chip milkshake, because that's what I like. But I will admit that their pumpkin milkshake's really good, and this beer kind of tastes like a beer version of that milkshake, but with a nice hop note to it. Yeah. This is actually really good. I actually really like this. That's crazy.
Yeah. The pumpkin is low, the spice is low.
Yes.
But
and that's
it
why
just kind of marries, all the flavors just marry very well together.
I think there's one more thing you can add to this to kick it up an extra level. Coffee.
No, I think that would...
low level coffee, I think could be awesome.
I think it would just drown out the other flavors. You wouldn't perceive the pumpkin or the spice.
Nah, that's what I'm saying, low level. Like light roast, cold brew, not too much added in. Just saying low level.
Westbrook.
It is really good. That's crazy. I think the hopping like really helps to balance out the sweetness from like the pumpkin and cinnamon flavors and the lactose and vanilla. It was just a lot going on. It's really well executed. Okay.
There's like a milkshake emblem and a bat and like little jack-o'-lanterns on the label.
Well, I'm glad we got it because like I said, like based off the style, I was like, okay, this is just weird. Like it could be a train wreck. But then like I was like, what is Westbrook?
Yeah.
So I'm glad I just trusted in the brewery. And I think that's an important lesson for all of us that, you know, if there's a brewery that does good stuff, you can probably trust that if they have something wacky, it could be good. Likely
have we ever had a Westbrook beer we haven't liked?
I don't think so.
We haven't had a ton.
We may have had one that we were kind of about. I remember we had a pineapple milkshake IPA.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that one we were kind of like, it's kind of one note, if I'm remembering correctly, but... Yeah. Okay. Well, this could have been worse for me. This could have been a lot worse. So
I guess that's a positive thing.
Yeah. So now I need to figure out, like, for the next episode, what should we do that's like my jam that like you're gonna be like, I don't want to do this. What would that be? Like, you're pretty open to beers.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like huge into sours.
Farmhouse ales.
Yeah.
Tart farmhouse ales. Yeah. Like, that's not your jam really at all.
Yeah, not my favorite.
I do really love a nice tart farmhouse ale, but okay, well, that was awesome. If people want to contact us, you can do so at brutalbattlepodcast@gmail.com, especially if you want to say, hey, we want a Rebecca-only episode.
No.
And tell us what you think that should be.
No,
let us know.
I'm not doing it. What pumpkin beers are you drinking this season?
Sure, you can do that too. We're on Untapped. I'm Carlton Malibu, all one word, spelled as it sounds.
I am RubyReb62.
And Instagram?
Brutal Battle Podcast.
Please rate us and review us on whatever podcatcher you use. iTunes will help us out the most for visibility. Also, word of mouth. Tell people about the podcast. We appreciate that. And if you want back episodes, you can just go to brutalbattle.com where you can also see pictures of all the beers for all the episodes.
And you can see the pictures on the beers on
Instagram, too. On
Instagram.
Yeah.
Although sometimes I miss a week here and there.
Yeah, but they don't have the episodes, too. So
no, I have
the link. Yeah, so. But, also archive.org, if you go there and search Brutal Battle, that's all the back episodes, too, because Instagram won't have everything, like all of our episodes, but the website and archive.org do. And we did do, for people who are interested in pumpkin beers, we did do a very large pumpkin beer tournament some years ago.
Yeah, how long ago was that?
Years ago. I mean, at this point, like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even more.
What won that one? Do you remember?
Probably Pumpkin or some version of it or something.
I'd be interested in re-listening to that.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, we can.
I mean, because that was when I was just pouring beers, probably.
Exactly. You weren't
and not
involved.
really on the podcast.
Well, let's do that. Let's listen to it. We can listen to our own stuff. Well, I mean, It's not yours of that because you weren't on it.
I wasn't on it.
But yeah, you were known back then to just make like a guest spot, just like say something when you entered the room.
Yeah, I just was pouring the beers and keeping them blind.
Yeah, which was appreciated. But this is better in my opinion. I like this more. Anyway, thanks everyone for checking this out, and until next time,
keep it brutal.
I feel so